Alright, what's going on, everybody? It's time for people to stop sleeping on Black Clover. Stop acting like this show is terrible. It hasn't been terrible in a long while. Yes, it had a rough start, no one's denying that, but the show gets better after 20 episodes or so. I know, it's hard to believe, but this show has come a long freaking way. So I just got finished watching the tournament arc where the Magic Knights are competing for a spot on the Royal Knight squad. The Royal Knight arc, it's pretty good. It's pretty decent. This was a pretty good arc, and I have to give Yuki Tabata credit for not making the same mistakes that Kishimoto and other authors have made in the past when it comes to tournament arcs. The tournament wasn't predictable, but the first opening did sort of give a lot away. I did like the way that Tabata shaked up the tired formula, much like Fairy Tail did with the Grand Magic Games. Instead of one-on-one fights, the tournament was comprised of team-based matches where the objective is to destroy the other team's crystal. The tournament was a great excuse to pair characters up with other people from other Magic Knight squads. Noelle and Yuno, Klaus and Luck, Magna and Sol, Lundris and Seke. Those were all great pairings. I loved seeing the personality clash between Yuno and Noelle. Same thing with Luck and Klaus. I love the fact that we actually got to see the entire tournament play out, unlike Naruto's Chunin exams. Regardless of what you gotta say, man, you gotta give Tabata credit for not using the Chunin exams as a template, because we all know how he likes to draw inspiration from Naruto from time to time. Regardless of what y'all guys think about this show, man, Tabata and the animators, the studio behind this show, they did their thing with this. Tabata, I feel like he was smart enough to know that you don't have to interrupt the event itself and have a bigger conflict erupt. Instead, just like My Hero Academia's sports festival, the tournament is kept interesting thanks to the characters themselves and a few of the subplots. These subplots, however, they don't overshadow the tournament plot, but rather they strengthen it. The first subplot involves a guy claiming to be Xerx from the Blue Orca squad. I won't spoil the revelation surrounding his character for those of you who haven't watched this arc yet. So for the remainder of this video, I will refer to this character as Xerx just to avoid spoilers. So this guy was placed on the same team as Asta and Mimosa. And I'll praise Tabata for subverting expectations with Xerx, especially given his character design and his personality, and I really enjoyed this new character. He's rude, he's blunt, and he has his own moral code, and he clashes with Asta quite a few number of times. Xerx came to the exam with his own motives, which he refuses to reveal to Asta. This new character and the mystery surrounding him is one element that kept this arc entertaining. The second subplot involves the ulterior motive as to why the Wizard King decided to conduct the exam, which of course I won't spoil. Tabata also takes the time to flesh out the backstory of characters that we've only seen briefly up until this point, like Sol and Rill. Noelle and Finral continue to grow as characters and are forced to fight against their oppressive and intimidating siblings. This arc had a lot of tension in it without the stakes having to be raised exponentially. Noelle versus Solid, Finral versus Lundris, Asta versus Lundris, Yuno versus Rill, Asta's team versus Magna's team. Those were all exciting matches. There was only a few issues that I had with this arc. I didn't like how the matchups in the first round were just against a bunch of fodder Magic Knights. For example, so Asta's team, they fought a bunch of random guys in the first round. I felt like this was a missed opportunity because other more interesting characters probably could have been introduced instead. I thought that might have been the case when Klaus was hyping up one of their opponents, Rob the Test, but they beat that man so quickly. Like, they were hyping, like Klaus was hyping that dude up. He's like, yeah, we need to be concerned about Rob the Test on the other team. They beat this man so quickly. Like, if I remember correctly, they beat the guy in like one hit. I guess this was done. So I guess the reason why Tabata decided to do this was because the first round was really just these characters getting to know each other and kind of learning to work together as a team. This first issue actually kind of ties into my second issue with this arc. Some of the initial fights were a bit too quick. I wish Yuno and Noel's team were forced to work together a bit more. And both their matches, they kind of divided and conquered. The longest and best fights were Asta versus Lungris, Yuno versus Reels, Asta versus Lungris. I think those were like the best ones. The animation overall was pretty great, especially during the Asta versus Lungris and Yuno versus Reels. That last fight, man, y'all can't deny that animation was pretty good. In general, the fights were entertaining, but none of that would matter without excellent character drama and the backstories. I love the inter-family conflict between Noel and Solid and Finral and Lungris. Now, I said this in my Black Clover review for the first season, but I love Noel's character, her character arc, and the stuff that they have going on with this character, and it started to basically pay off. And even the bit of character development and like the backstory that we got with Finral during the Seabed Temple arc, and this arc, that kind of pays off there too. Finral actually being a bit more confident, like I said, being forced to face Lungris. Something I really like about Black Clover though is just the fact that some of these characters come from like really big families and established families. There isn't just an emphasis on non-biological family bonds like other shows and stuff like that. I mean, obviously this show has that, but there's those biological family bonds as well, or the lack of, that's actually at the forefront. And I feel like this is like one aspect of the show that it sets Black Clover apart from its other influences, which are obviously, you know, Fairy Tail and Naruto are like their biggest influences for Black Clover. But overall, I thought this was a good tournament arc. It's nowhere near Yu Yu Hakusho's The Dark Tournament arc. I think that's like one of the best tournament arcs is like between that. Obviously, My Hero Academia's Sports Festival, I don't care what anyone says, that was pretty good. Well, actually, saying pretty good, that was excellent. You know, just in general, I feel like it's better than Fairy Tail's Grand Magic Games arc, and then it's like slightly better than the Chunin exams. But at least I can say this, man, it certainly didn't put me to sleep like Hunter x Hunter's Heaven's Arena. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good arc. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I just thought I would just spend a little bit of time talking about this arc because I thought it was pretty good. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.